So tonight we have a very interesting one. We're going to be doing object picking. We're going to see how Rogue Engine and Three.js are interacting in this thing, and it's very useful for many sorts of games. It's something that Nige asked on Discord how to do, and yesterday I kind of hinted that it's quite simple actually, but it has its nuances depending on your approach on what you want to do. Specifically, what Nige asked was a first-person controller with picking, right? So we're going to assume that we're picking from the center of the screen. We're going to assume that we have some kind of crosshair, and we're going to be picking from the center of the screen. We're going to look at something, right, with the crosshair, and we're going to pick that, right? We're going to click on that, and we're going to pick it, all right? So that's pretty much it, I think. In this case, I've just created these two boxes, okay? In this case, we have a box that is simply a box, right? It's a mesh, which has a material and all that, has a geometry. And in this case, it's a group, right? And it has a box inside of it. We're going to see how we can click this with the crosshair in a first-person controller. So in order to achieve this, what I've done is I've created this first-person picker. I'm sorry about the mess of this thing, but it's just grabbed the project that I already had here so that we could have a little scene there. Okay, let's go and look at our first-person picker component that I created. Okay, I haven't done anything other than just adding a crosshair. I didn't want to bore you with this because it's simply a crosshair div, right? Just simply creating a div inside our component. I've added some styles, and I've appended this in the UI container of the runtime, and I'm doing this in the start. This component is going to be added directly to the first-person controller. So we need a first-person controller. How do we get our first-person controller? Let's grab our first-person controller first so we know what we're talking about, okay? We can come here at the, to the Rogue Rapier package here in prefabs and grab our first-person controller. Simply drag and drop it here in the scene, okay? We can also press Alt A, as I always say, right? And just drag and drop it here like that, okay? We hit play now. You see, you're going to see the first-person controller. We're going to be able to move around, right? And we have these boxes here that we cannot do anything yet, right? I'm clicking there and nothing happens. And nothing too interesting will happen either, right? I mean, we're just going to log the name. That's all we're really going to do. So yeah, we're going to grab this first-person controller, and here we're going to add first-person picker here, right? Okay, yeah, we'll drag and drop it. And it does nothing for now, right? We have that, and it has no use whatsoever until we do something to it, okay? So we're going to have to create something here. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a field, props text, and we're going to call it selected, like that, right? So we come back here and you see we have a selected field here. All we want is to have the name logged here. That's all we want. So we're going to create a raycaster field, right? And we're going to initialize it directly here. So we're going to do new re.raycaster, like that. So we're going to say that if re.input get down, this means when we press down just once, one frame, and we're going to say, we're going to use fire because this is a standard one we have that is the click, right? So we're just going to use that. We could create one, but I'm not going to bore you with that right now. It's just fire is the click, right? We're going to get more in depth with the input system and all that another time, but right now, trust me, fire is the click. And all we're going to do here is we're going to need to set the raycaster. So we're going to say the raycaster set from camera, and this we're going to, okay, I like doing it this way. Just create a little object with an X and a Y, say as 3 vector 2, so that we don't have to create a new object. And here we'll set the camera, which is runtime camera. So we simply, when we click, we want to set the raycaster to say, okay, shoot from the center of the camera. We're going to give it a far property because we don't want to select something that is too far away, right? We want to select something that's close enough. So we're going to give it I don't know, like maybe a 0.5, somewhere we could reach, whatever you want, really. This is up to you. And now we need to shoot the raycast. Now we need to intersect objects. So there's multiple ways to approach this. I'm just gonna comment this, but something that I've also took the liberty to create beforehand. I created a tag. Okay, I've created a tag, this tag called selectable. We have multiple options here. We can do const target and say re, and with the Rogue Engine library here, we're going to do tags and get objects. And we can just get the ones with the tag select. So we're going to get all the objects with the tag select, and this will be our targets. Okay, so now to intersect objects with the raycaster, okay, here it lets us take a it takes a list of objects, right, an array of objects, and that's what targets is, right? And what we need to do is get the intersections, and what we're going to say is that if intersections, the length is greater than 0, right? So if we have more than one intersection, here we know that we are hitting something. So what we want to do is we want to show the name of the object that we hit, right? So we're going to say const op equals intersections 0, right? Because this is an array. We're going to get the intersection in position 0, the first one. We're going to say the object, and we're going to say that this dot selected equals object dot name. So if we hit something, we get the name of the object and we print it here. Okay, that way we can see what we're doing. Okay, so yeah, well, let's try it out. Let's see what happens. Okay, okay, we're gonna save like that. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna take a bit there. Okay, and let's go there and test it out. Yeah, and it's not working. Then it wasn't that. We're doing something wrong clearly here. I must have missed something here. So this is how you debug when you have a problem like this, right? No need to panic. You know, these things happen. So you just go, okay, this selected, we can do targets, and we're going to see how many we hit, right? We're going to see targets, length, right? So how many we have. Oh, okay. I changed the name of the tag. Let's selected. Let's look at it again now. Yeah, no, it's not working yet. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know why, maybe. Okay, it could be because the far is too short as well, right? Let's remove the far just to be sure that we're not. Okay, no, it's not the far. It's not the far. What is it then? Okay, we're gonna do this selected equals target the length to string. Okay, we come here and we see what do we have. So there's nothing with the selected tag. Selectable. Okay, I'm an idiot. Okay, yeah, amazing. Let's look at the little thing we have here. Okay, now we have two there, and now we found, okay, we were just mistaking the name of the tag for some reason. I was doing something stupid there. Now it's finding. As you can see, we're hitting the my box and we're hitting the box. In general, when you're making something like this, you make mistakes and you debug like that, and you find out, oh, okay, I'm an idiot. Yeah, it's usually that. Usually you say, okay, I'm just stupid. See, you can be stupid and still do these things. It's incredible, right? You don't need to be a genius. You just have to, you know, be persistent enough to find the bugs that you create. You know, see how there I added the far, and now it doesn't like it. The far, it was too short. You know what? You know what? This is a perfect situation to say re.props.num and say far. We're gonna call it far. We're gonna call it far, and yeah, it's just gonna be called far. We're gonna say for, we're just gonna use that here. Okay, this the far. Okay, so we hit play. Yeah, there. Okay, it's still 2. So maybe we take it to 3, or maybe 2. Okay, 2. I think I like 2. There. Yeah, I think I like 2. So that's another thing. You see that we were setting selected to be this to string. We should actually first reset the select before we hit anything, so that we know that we haven't clicked anything. Because what happens? I haven't hit anything here yet. Okay, so there's nothing there, but now I hit something, and now I don't hit anything again. Selected still says my box. If we actually depend on that, we should first reset selected, right? So that we know we haven't clicked on anything, right? We're not going to be using this for much of that, but right? But I mean, think that works, right? I mean, I think that, yeah, there you go. And then we click outside, and there you go. And then we click this thing, and then, okay. If you noticed, we're taking the objects that have this tag, but we never really got the group. If the stuff that you actually need is on the group, is on the parent object, right? You need to be able to capture that object. You need to know whose shield is that, whose weapon is that. So the way you do that is you go to the parent, right? The way to handle that would be, we need a rogue engine dot get. In general, you have a bunch of get something there, right? Get nearest group, for instance. This will give you the nearest group. So if you know that it's a group, you can get the nearest parent group upwards. But if you have a tag and it's already there, and you know it kind of represents the thing that you want, represents that unit, so do get nearest with tag. And so you get the object that you've hit, and you get the tag. The tag is, in this case, selectable. So we say parent. And so if we have a parent, we get the name. Otherwise, we get, you just get the name like that. There you go. We're hitting the group. Here we're hitting the box because that's the parent. And here we're hitting the group. There's one thing that is bad here. This is an interesting one. What if you have something in front? What if you have something like you want something to actually block the object, right? If I'm hitting a wall, right? Should the wall be selectable, for instance, if I have a wall in front and I'm just far enough? In that case, you shouldn't really have this filtered by the selectables. So how do you do that? Instead of grabbing the targets like this, you would simply come here and say re runtime scene, and we do true here, okay? Oh, scene.children. Why do we say true? It's right, recursive. So we're saying that we want to look into all of the children with children, all that, right? So this is a lot less format, right? So usually what I would recommend is having a set of groups of objects. Yeah, something that's more manageable, not the whole scene, right? So now we use the selectable tag only here to know that we're hitting this object, right? We want to know that we're hitting something that has a selectable tag. So there you go. So I hit play there. Let's go here to the, okay, so we can test it. Okay, so we're hitting this box and not that other one. Okay, and then when we hit here, there is my box, and there's nothing, and there's my box, and there's nothing, and there's my box. All right, so we have obstacles there. We're taking that into account. It's slower, yes, but keep the distance not too far. And if you can get a more scoped amount of objects that you want, that you can use, then I highly recommend that. But sometimes if you don't have a first-person controller, say we don't have this, let's remove it. Let's create an object picker, okay? Because you may not want that. You may want just an object picker. You may want something to just pick objects in your scene, right? From your camera, right? So all we're going to do is we're going to grab our camera here, to move it up here, right? We're going to bring it here to us, so we can see better, right? So we can see better. Okay, yeah, that's all we want. We need to do, we're going to say re input mouse unlock, right? To make sure the mouse is never locked when we are using the object picker. And so remember what we did here. In the first person picker, we were actually picking an object from the center of the screen, right? So, but picking with the mouse, that's a bigger mess. That's a much bigger mess. We need to have a notion of the screen and all these things, but here's the thing, we don't really need that here, okay? We're gonna do if re.runtime, right? re.input. Let's be clear. This is the way we do it in Rogue Engine, okay? I'm just simply using some helpers to help you do this in an easier way that you would need to do this by hand on Three.js, okay? So this is how the Three.js world and the Rogue Engine world get together here, okay? And where somebody asks for something and says, okay, I want to pick things easier in the scene, and this is the kind of stuff that I do then, you know? Get down, I would say fire again, okay? Fire again. Okay, the same thing we did here in the first person picker when we were shooting the ray from the center of the camera, right? We're shooting from the center of the camera and saying pick there, right? Now we need to know, okay, where in the screen are we actually clicking? Okay, which object are we clicking? So we need to convert the direction of the mouse into a 3D position and hit that thing, right? Well, we don't need to do that here, okay? We're simply going to say re dot pick. I'm going to say re dot runtime dot scene dot children. That's it. I'm going to get the const. I don't know. Ops. Naming things. Naming things. Okay. We're going to say that if let's call it intersections. Let's call it intersections. That same we did before, right? So we don't change things in any way, right? So let's come here and say, let's do, in fact, we can do exactly the same thing. We can copy paste this code. We can copy paste it exactly like it. You know? Yeah, we only don't need this. Well, we're actually just going to pick one, right? Intersection. So if we hit something, okay, if we hit an object, okay, we're going to say intersection. If we ask the selectable tag, we're going to set, let's do this. Let's just add the same selected thing we had here. Okay. Yeah, let's have that. Yeah, there. So we have the selected name, the name of the parent of the object we've selected. Okay. Yeah, this is going to be the nearest object, right? The nearest object means me or someone above. So because I don't think I was clear enough with that, I don't think I mentioned that it could be the object itself. But yeah, I think it was, I thought it was obvious, but obviously I was making too many assumptions there. And we could add this to the camera, right? We could add this to the camera. Say, let's picker there. I say call it object picker there. Okay. And let's say come here. Okay. And now we can group. Yeah, there we go. My box group, and this one doesn't have a label. This one doesn't have a thing. So you see the tag here, right? Remember, you have to look at the selected there, right? So you have group, have the my box there. Okay. So that makes it super easy, right? That was how many lines of code was that? It's just pick and there, and then you do something with the thing you pick. Doesn't get easier than that, does it? I mean, I don't know. I think. But yeah, because, and the reason I wanted to bring this up was because before I had, I told Nige that when he asked this, that he could use the picker, right? He could use, what's it called? Yeah, re.pick for the first person thing. But no, that was not true. That was an error in my part. Okay. So yeah, no, you cannot use re.pick for this. You need to use, for the first person one, you need to use a raycaster. But if you want to click something in the scene, use the pick.